According to Facebook, I have to put something out every single day if I want to start making any money on Facebook. And so today, my plan was to put brake pads on the van, and I did that. That took a little over an hour. It was pretty successful. The old brake pads on the driver's side were actually in pretty decent shape, and those were the ones that I looked at last week. They were kind of thin. I mean, like maybe that thick, but I mean, they would have lasted a little while longer. The brake pads on the passenger side, which were the ones I was actually worried about, that side, the caliper had actually, it's a 2002 GMC Savannah, and it has two bolts that are a star bolt that the star socket that I have to fit into it barely fits into the things. There's so much rust on them that it just doesn't really get in there very well. So when I put the last brake pads on about a year and a half ago, I didn't tighten them enough because I just couldn't get into the socket, even though I had the right size according to everything on Google. So this time I really worked it and got them in there really good and tightened the crap out of them. But the passenger side, the inner brake pad was just paper thin, and if you're looking at the curve like that, the one side all the way down the middle had chipped out. So there was still pad up here and here, but there was no pad in the middle. It was completely gone. So I was a couple of days at best away from actually being metal on metal. So that's solved. This time I hammered the star socket, I can't remember what they call those, into the actual rusted out bit. I also cleaned off the shaft and greased the heck out of it so that the slides work properly. I didn't have that stuff last time, so it might have bound up on that side, but what had happened was one of the screws unthreaded and the caliper actually cocked itself funny, and it burned off one of those pads a little early. I tightened it back on properly 8 months ago, but it still, it had been damaged. So the passenger side was in worse shape than the driver's side. My rotors are okay. There's a little groove on one side where maybe a rock or chip or something got in there and messed it up. But I got that done. And then I bumped into Atta and Rich, who are from the Treasure Island Yacht Club, and they were pulling a keg from the yacht club to go refill it. And then when they came back, I was just finished helping Todd with another guy on the marina's boat, Jack. His bilge pump has been pumping water out of the side of the boat a couple times a day, and a pretty good amount of water. And everybody had assumed that over a year ago when I tightened his stuffing box that was what caused this, to happen. So Todd and I took 2 large wrenches in there, and we started digging through the bilge and looked at the stuffing box. Stuffing box was really not dripping. Like once every 40 seconds, you'd get one drip, which is nothing. We knew that the amount of water coming in was significantly higher than that, and the water in the bilge was salty. By the way, Angel chewed on his wing last night. You can see here that he's all bloody on that side. It drives me crazy. So we looked at the bathroom, the head. We looked at the sink in the galley. No water either place. No liquid pouring out. We went to the bilge. I dried up one little space on the back side of the bilge, and it no water coming out of it. I could see water running down the front of the bilge from the bow into the bilge. So we opened up that, and it turned out that one of his transducers had come loose. And they're plastic transducers. If anybody isn't a boat person, a transducer is the depth sounder. It gives you your depth reading on your navigation system. And he had a lot of water coming in through that depth sounder, but it's plastic, so just tightening it up doesn't change anything. It would still be a problem. You need to open it up, remove the old glue, put in new glue, and tighten it back on again, and then let the new glue set while it's on the hard. On the hard means that it's not in the water, it's on the land, the hard. So as soon as I got done with that, I'm talking to Jack about how that happened, and Atta and Rich show up, and they want to see about the outboard that I put on the back of Atta's boat when his diesel died. So we're trying to figure out how to make it easier for Atta to shift from inside the cockpit with an outboard that's way down low and far away, without him hanging off the back of the boat to reach the shifter paddle. So Rich Holden and I went over a couple of things. We raised it up, we put it down, we raised it up, we put it down, we fired it up, we shut it down. I just wanted him to see all of how it worked, and we made measurements, and we came up with a plan on how Atta's going to do that. And we also decided that we're going to go from a 5-to-1 pulley system to raise the boat, or to raise the outboard up, to a 7-to-1, which will make it a little easier for Atta. And by the way, he does this occasionally. It happens about once a month. It drives me nuts. I tend to think it's because this cage is just not big enough for him. But we're in a boat, and I just don't have anywhere to have him. And it tends to happen when I go work for, extensive periods, and I worked the entire 4-day weekend. I did take him one day, but, he needs more attention. So, my intention for the day was to pack stuff that's of too much value out of my boat and put it in the van. And I ended up spending like 4 hours working on Jack's boat and Atta's boat, and figuring out how to deal with his shifter before I actually got to even have breakfast. And then I started hauling stuff up. So I've taken most of the stuff that I have in dock boxes, and my 3-burner stove that I bought from Atta that was in my cockpit, that's in the van. I have 2 Magna grills that I got off of a boat that was sinking in the marina, and the guy was just going to throw the boat away. So Todd and I went through it. They're propane Magna grills. They're the round type, and neither one of them have the propane attachments, which is annoying. But I took them, so all of that stuff is going up to storage in Butte County. And so that was my whole day. I literally spent the whole day just pulling stuff out of the boat after helping with them, so that I could put it in the van, so that I can drive it up to Butte County and put it into storage. And, it's advancement. I also got a call from the marina manager, Anthony, who is never, ever, ever at this marina, because he's the harbor master at another marina. And he told me he wants me moved to Oakland as fast as possible. And I don't want to move as fast as possible. I've got lots of stuff to deal with. And I talked to my aunt this morning and told her that I'm not really into renting that apartment, for an apartment that I would only be in for 5 to 7 days over the next 7 months. It just doesn't make any sense for me to pay $7,000 to stay in an apartment for a week, out of the next 7 months. And so that's where we are, and that's where we're going to go.